World number one Aryna Sabalenka is still in the headlines from the WTA season ender in Riyadh after she apparently threw shade towards the champion Elena Rybakina after the final.
Elena Rybakina reigns supreme in Riyadh. The personification of poise in the end. She shuts out the world number one in the tiebreak. And she is champion of the WTA Finals 2025.
The world number one, Aryna Sabalenka, has just proven something shocking about herself, and it has nothing to do with her tennis. The WTA Finals in Riyadh should have been the crowning glory of her season, but instead it became the place where the brutal truth about her sportsmanship was exposed for all to see. After being completely dominated in the final by the incredibly composed Elena Rybakina, the cameras caught Sabalenka in an uncensored moment of fury. She smashed her racket, of course, but it was what she muttered in Russian, a blunt insult aimed at Rybakina that is now setting the internet on fire. People are furious, and the comparison is inevitable. Sabalenka has just shown why she is not and never will be a Coco Gauff. This wasn't a simple fit of pique, this was the turning point that is threatening to define her legacy.
That was a $5.235 million paycheck that you just collected tonight. I'm curious, yes. Do you treat yourself in any way? Do you think about the money at all?
Well, it's definitely a huge amount, and honestly, I didn't think about any of that so much, but of course it's great, and I don't know, we definitely need to celebrate really well with the team, family, and everyone.
But that wasn't the whole story, and the chain reaction that followed is even more damning. To understand the depth of this controversy, we need to establish exactly what happened in Riyadh.
He played to win, directed traffic, hit every ball. Just so impressive, Kevin. They should have given her the trophy at the start. I mean, if they knew what was going to follow, it was just, I guess it was a dream performance that there's few and far between in your career. I spoke about it being...
Sabalenka, the heavy favourite and world number one, was annihilated in the championship match. We're talking about a dominant 6-3,7-6 straight sets beatdown, where Rybakina displayed unshakable composure and superior tennis. Sabalenka never really looked like she was in the running. As soon as the final point was scored, frustration peaked. She smashed her racket, something that has become routine, but it was the moment she walked off the court that everything unravelled. Fans with lip-reading knowledge and Russian speakers interpreted what she said as a phrase, "Once a year, even a stick shoots." The closest and most insulting short translation is, "Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while." Essentially, Sabalenka was saying that Rybakina was purely lucky and that she doesn't normally play at that level. For a player who had just collected a $5.235 million paycheck for the victory, to be immediately dismissed as a once-a-year fluke is unbelievably disrespectful. What makes this incident so serious is that it is not an isolated event. This is not the first time Aryna has used that exact phrase after a loss. It happened before at the 2023 US Open after losing the first set to Madison Keys. This cannot be excused as a momentary, heat-of-the-moment reaction. This is a premeditated insult, one that she resorts to when she loses to someone she believes she shouldn't have beaten. It is a way to completely dismiss the opponent's superiority and justify her own loss as a fluke. It is the refusal to accept that she was simply outplayed. As the internet dragged her for it, this history resurfaced, proving that Sabalenka's poor sportsmanship is not a bug, but rather a feature of her competitive personality. Tennis fans, exhausted by her displays of bad behaviour, are finally speaking out, and the target of their comparison is particularly brutal. The comparison to Coco Gauff is the sharpest knife critics could use. Gauff has lost plenty of big matches, including to Sabalenka, but she has consistently displayed unparalleled grace and class in defeat. She congratulates her opponent, acknowledges their superior play, and moves on with dignity. Gauff is the epitome of what is expected from a champion. Sabalenka, on the other hand, loses and immediately resorts to excuses, insults, or diminishing the opponent's victory as luck. The difference in maturity is stark, and the age gap can no longer be an excuse. People vividly recall the French Open press conference where Sabalenka made comments about Gauff that came across as dismissive and disrespectful. When you have a consistent pattern of disrespect in interviews and then are caught muttering insults under your breath, the behavioral pattern is undeniable. But this dismissal of luck is even more ridiculous when you consider Rybakina's actual performance. Sabalenka's insult, which implies Rybakina got lucky and doesn't normally play well, is utterly unwarranted given the circumstances. Rybakina did not win by chance, or because Sabalenka played poorly. Rybakina played exceptional tennis throughout the entire tournament and thoroughly outplayed Sabalenka in the final. She served better, hit her ground strokes with more power and precision, and maintained composure in crucial moments. This was not a fluke performance. This was the triumph of a superior player executing a superior game plan. To dismiss such a decisive victory as luck is a direct insult to Rybakina's skill, training, and preparation. Rybakina had been struggling to win big titles, and this was her major breakthrough at the end of the season. Reducing that achievement to a matter of chance is disrespectful on a level that goes beyond momentary anger. This leads us to a deeper look at Sabalenka's competitive psyche and what it means for her career. There is a fascinating and probably accurate observation. Sabalenka seems to only accept losing to Iga Świątek, probably because Świątek has beaten her so many times that Sabalenka cannot dismiss those losses as flukes. But when anyone else beats her, her immediate reaction is excuse-making. This is textbook poor sportsmanship, and it is precisely the kind of attitude that prevents learning and growth. Sabalenka's record in finals is genuinely terrible for someone of her caliber: 21 wins and 19 losses. She loses almost as many finals as she wins. For the supposed world number one, that is unacceptable, and we have to wonder if her attitude in defeat contributes to that dismal record. When you cannot gracefully accept losing, you are doomed to repeat the same mistakes. In contrast, Coco Gauff has shown the ability to absorb losses and come back stronger, which is why many view her as having greater long-term championship potential than Sabalenka. But there is more, because her dangerous behavior is also escalating. Sabalenka's racket abuse has become particularly problematic due to its frequency and aggression. Yes, every player occasionally smashes a racket, but Sabalenka does it so often and so violently that it has become part of her brand. We remember the incident at the Australian Open where the smash was genuinely dangerous, and the Wuhan episode where the racket went dangerously close to a ball kid. These are not just outbursts of frustration, they are a pattern of behavior that needs intervention. The money adds a layer of irony. Her record-setting $15 million in season earnings is impressive. But money does not buy decorum. You can be the highest-earning player and still be criticized for poor sportsmanship. In fact, being the highest earner comes with an additional responsibility to represent the sport well, which Sabalenka is consistently failing to do. So Aryna Sabalenka lost decisively to Elena Rybakina and responded by denigrating her opponent's victory as a stroke of luck. Once again, she proved that she lacks the class of a Coco Gauff when it comes to handling defeat with grace. The debate about the gender double standard has some validity, as male players get away with worse. But the solution is not to excuse Sabalenka's bad behavior, it is to raise the standard for everyone, regardless of gender. She is an incredibly talented player, but if she is remembered as much for poor sportsmanship as for her achievements, that significantly diminishes her legacy. A true champion accepts the reality of defeat and uses it to improve. Sabalenka, however, seems to prefer living in delusional denial when reality is uncomfortable. This is not the mindset of a champion who will continue to dominate. The question that remains is this: will Sabalenka's consistent pattern of poor sportsmanship ultimately define her legacy more than her actual Grand Slam achievements?